What's up, Ward Wrestling Live? The shows are late today. No early shows. We got a 4 to 6 and 4 o'clock. We are live with two amazing wrestling minds in our country, and especially down here in the state of Florida, and I believe Polk County. Yes?
Yeah, Polk County. Yes, sir.
Right, absolutely.
County is in the house. We got Coach Thomas up above with the A. We got Coach Jones down below. They are both over at Auburndale doing big things. Antonio Thomas, Auburndale head coach. He was a 285 Polk County champ, district champ, regional runner-up, third at states, fourth at all-class Florida, and first team all-county. We got Coach Jones down below. Coach, man, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, how you two came together and how you guys are running Auburndale now.
Okay, well, I appreciate for having me on. Be honest with you, I was a baseball player for many, many years. Didn't even think about wrestling at the time. Had a few guys in my neighborhood that were doing it, and no real big household names at that time. But I just kind of fell into the sport. And the moment that I fell into it, I fell in love with it. I was a utility player with baseball, predominantly a catcher. Played anywhere on the diamond and just loved the sport. But wrestling came calling, and they were about the same time a year. So I actually got started at a late age. So I didn't start wrestling until junior high school, 9th grade. So 9th grade up through high school, about 4 good years on the mat. Had some awesome coaches that really cared and got us in USA competitors. And we started building a brand, not just on the team, but building a brand. I went from county champ my first year wrestling. So that did it for me. That was I got it in my DNA, and then that was it. So I was undefeated my first year wrestling and had a couple quick matches, quick pins and things like that. And it was infectious. It was contagious. And I put the baseball down and I never looked back.
Well, and being a catcher, it had to help because you already knew how to get low.
Absolutely.
That core strength in your legs was already there.
Absolutely. I'm not going to deny that. It was good times on the mat in junior high school. And one of the best things that happened to me was our head coach at the high school at the time, which was Tom Butler in Auburndale. He actually retired. And so my junior high school coach ended up coming up to the high school in order to coach us, the team that he had already built in the county champs, which was a smart move on his part because he kind of already knew what he had, and he built on it from there. But we've had some amazing coaching. I can't say that I would be the wrestler that I was back then without having tremendous coaches. I took a lot from them, and I plan to continue to utilize those tools and strengths as we continue to grow Auburndale to be dominant.
And that's awesome. So is this your guys' first year, second year at Auburndale?
First year.
First year. So you guys just took over coach, the longtime coach retired, and you guys came in?
Nah, so, okay, I can give you the rundown. So we've had probably about 5, 6, maybe 7 coaches probably within the last 10 years or, 15 years at Auburndale. I'm going to tell you how I got into wrestling. So I was actually a football player. And so in 8th grade, I came to high school, and my one of my friends, he was on the wrestling team. It was like 08, 09. He was like, hey, man, if you want to be a better football player, you need to come out and wrestle. And so, of course, me having those aspirations to be, a top-tier football player, I came out as a 9th grader. Well, I chose weightlifting over wrestling, so I got kicked off of the wrestling team. So then by one of the captains, he told me, hey, man, don't come back. Like, he ran me off. And so I gladly went on up out of there. So then my sophomore year, I was kind of done with wrestling. Was out on the football field. I had gotten a couple fights at practice. And then our defensive coordinator, who had just took over the wrestling program at the time, he said, hey, Antonio, I think you should come out for wrestling. I was like, well, they just kicked me off the team last year. So John O'Neill, shout out to Coach John O'Neill. Him and Coach Vince Parker, they both like, hey, man, you need to come wrestle because, we seen you out here whooping folks, And so that year I came back. That's what got me back into wrestling, man. My defense coordinator was a wrestling coach at the time. And, I spent a lot of time with him. So, and he helped instill a lot of character and stuff like that into me and a lot of, moral principles and stuff. So it definitely helped shape me to be the man I am today.
And after high school, you ended up going football or wrestling?
I ended up playing college football at Benedict College. Shout out to BC. Went out there and played a couple 4 years. Started out as a nose guard, and then my senior year, they moved me to offense. So, I understand that humming drum. It's a lot of politics in these sports, especially when it comes down to college.
What do you think? What do you think wrestling did for you to give you that ability to get to that level to where you can go to college and play football?
Well, one day I walked in the weight room, and one of our coaches was like, "Hey, man, you got bad feet," And this was my freshman year. I walked in the weight room. He said, "Man, you got bad feet," and I was like, "What you talking about?" You know what I mean? So, his first thing he told me, he said, "You need to go out there and get on them dots." We got dot drills over here at Auburndale, and so I went out there and got on the dots, and he was like, "Man, I don't know." And so Coach Rouse, he was like, "Man, you need to go join a wrestling team also." So, I had a couple, my football coaches here was, pushing me and other guys to go join the team, So
the rest is history.
Yeah,
Your feet got better, huh?
Yeah. So
awesome.
So after that year, so after my sophomore year, I came out. We actually won the district. So obviously doing things like that, it kind of helped keep me around the sport. When you do something good, like it's something about a little bit of success that'll keep you around. You know what I'm saying? I think if we wouldn't have had that success, then maybe I wouldn't have stayed around. But hold on, before I do anything else, I would like to give a shout out to my beautiful wife, Claisha. I love you. And my son, shout out to Champ. All right.
There you go,
Awesome.
man.
Awesome.
The shout out is coming. So first of all, you guys get this program, and then COVID, right? So, what effects has that had on you guys actually getting into the room and getting to know your guys and getting in front of them and kind of seeing what you have and getting out there and getting some other kids in the summer programs and the off-season programs?
Okay, so we got the program. So we actually got the program after COVID. So last year I was actually the assistant head coach of the wrestling team. Shout out to Matt Jones, man. He was a state champ over at Osceola. I was his assistant last year, and we had a very young team, man. We had freshmen and sophomores. So this year we'll be led, junior and senior led this year, as far as our team goes. Now, like I said, COVID-19 has really shut down a lot of things, and but I think that we'll be okay once we get back. Get things rolling. We'll be okay.
Yeah, Coach
I
Jones.
just want to piggyback on that, what he was saying too. He's still meeting with a lot of those youth. I was headed out to the school just a while ago, and he's met with approximately about 30 kids. I was going to head up, and he says, "Hey, Coach Jones, just get ready for the Zoom meeting that we're going to have." But we're getting the opportunity to meet with those young men. But a lot of times it's outside, it's outdoors, and usually over by the football stadium and things of that sort. But being outside, that's one thing that helps. And when it comes to COVID-19, it's not an end all be all, but it does help to be outside and still try to maintain some social distancing.
Yeah, and Coach Jones, the Polk County Wrestling, man, you guys, not just Auburndale, but Tenorock, McKeel, you've got Lake Gibson. I mean, all those, you've got some great wrestling in Polk County now. How far has it come since you guys were younger, or even over the last 10 years?
Well, I can say that when I got started, I'm a little bit older, and to answer your question, in the late 80s, we really started to actually come out of the bell curve. We really started to get some not just county and district, but some regional and state recognition. Auburndale, when I was in school, we went as high as third in the nation in 1990. I was a team captain of that team and state champion. Went to, I wrestled, we were wrestling the state tournament down then. It was down in Boca Raton. And so to be completely candid with you, when we got there in regions or states, when we would go somewhere, everyone recognized us. I mean, we were considered a powerhouse back then. And then, like Coach just mentioned, with several coaching changes and things over the years, that has dwindled down to it got to the point to where they barely could to field out a full team. And so that's what coaching and I are trying to do. It's not only just go back to when they were successful, and he's quite younger than me, but go back to when our glory days when we were definitely a powerhouse. Brandon shied away from us, wouldn't wrestle us. We beat Sarasota Sailors, Countryside. I mean, we would not only invite him to these dual meets, we were dominant. I've wrestled Chris Bono from Jacksonville Bowls. I mean, I've wrestled in the Marines, for the Marines. I wrestled for Coach Dan Mello, a silver medalist. I've had some tremendous coaches along the way that have actually built a very dominant Auburndale Bloodhounds wrestling program back in the days. And we plan to do that again. And so that's what we're here to do. This first year is just getting our feet underneath us and being able to pull out a full squad and take some kids over to the state meet.
Man, you and Coach Carter down there at HB Plant bringing that Marine Corps to the wrestling mat. Huh?
Yes, right. We did mostly Greco-Roman in the Corps, but that was Coach Dan Mello. That was the style that they chose. They did very little freestyle, but I continued to wrestling after high school.
Hey, as for you, obviously, Coach Jones is he and I are over 40, so you are not.
Yeah, he's a young man, but he can go. I've heard a lot of good things about Coach. He has an infectious personality, and so he's right where he needs to be. He's on campus with the kids, doing a lot of the recruiting. I specialize in a lot of conditioning and leg riding and things of that nature, shots and different things like that or whatever to make sure that guys are on their A game and defense. And so I'm looking forward to getting started again. It's been a long time since I've actually coached, but nothing's like riding a bike. I'm looking forward to getting on it again.
Yeah, and it'll be great because you'll have his infection and his youth, and then
he's exuberant, man.
But even Coach Thomas, even since you were in school, I mean, it seemed, and I've only been around wrestling about 2.5 years or so, but by having this show, I've gotten to talk to so many people, and it seems like there's a lot going on, from Polk County west there, and you guys have really gotten some great schools that are doing it big, but some tremendous clubs and more to come that are opening up in your area,
Right.
that are really giving opportunity to all these Polk County kids. It's got to be doing something for the sport little Polk County used to, when I was younger, football players used to just sprout out of Polk County.
Correct.
I remember Lakeland and all them, they had some boys, but it seems like wrestling, they're doing really good. What's your opinion on the growth, and what have you seen open up since you were in high school?
Well, since I was in high school, I talked to one of my coaches in high school, and I'm gonna just kind of give you a rundown on kind of how I got back to this. He said, "Hey man," he said, "Hey, nobody at Auburndale has finished higher than you, at state." And I was like, "Wow," because I actually thought one of the guys who wrestled after me a couple years, because I know he was a 2-time state qualifier, I thought that he actually, maybe finished maybe second in the finals. And he said, "Nah, man, you got the last highest finish." And so, just looking around the county and seeing, how far Lake Gibson has gotten and how far, McKeel has gotten and stuff, it's inspiring. Also, we're going to put our own little spin. We're going to start our own club team right here in the city of Auburndale. We plan on having tapping into our middle schools. We have about 3 middle schools that feed Auburndale High School, BAMS Middle, Lake Alfred Polytech, and Stanbaugh Middle, which is right here in Auburndale. So after the season, I plan on tapping into those 3 schools and start to get kids young, because the biggest thing about wrestling, you got to have a feeder, and that's what I understood. So when I was at Bartow, I was a one-man show. I didn't have any other coaches on my staff. I was the head coach of the varsity wrestling team and the middle school wrestling team. And honestly, what's more inspiring to me is when I look and see kids that I coached at Bartow Middle, they still wrestling in high school. And so, that is like, okay, I kind of see the vision, like I can see where we can go with this thing. So, after me and Coach Jones get done with this wrestling season, the goal is to get these kids on the mat year round and go from there. Get them in the club, start our club team here at the school and go from there.
How far are you from Tony?
Tenor Rock is right up the street, actually, man. It's right up the street. you know. But
I mean, he's doing some big things there, right? I mean, you guys can really feed off each other, can't you?
right. And see, the thing about Tenor, me and him talked about his plans, you know, as far as starting a club team, you know, and, you know, potentially some of my kids coming over and getting, you know, mat time with his guys. So, you know, like I say, it's going to start, you know, everything's going to start this year. Like, I'm happy about having Coach Jones around. Also, we're going to have Coach Damon Ortiz, who was another beast at Auburndale, you know, on the staff. And, you know, we're going to have a couple other guys who wrestled, you know, along the way. So to be honest, man, since I've took the head coaching job, I've had a lot of guys reach out to me about helping. And so my goal is to put everybody in a position where they can help us build this thing up, you know?
Yeah, man, that's something. Well, first of all, a few shout outs. Coach Wilmington, he put a big like arm like this and he said 2 solid brothers there. And then Gavin Osborne shouted you guys out. And then he also said John O'Neill is a great guy.
Yeah, Coach. Shout out to Coach Vince, man. I told Vince I would give him that shout out. Hey, we live, baby, national. Shout out to Coach Vince, man. Coach Vince was actually my heavyweight coach. He was a guy that used to beat up on me every day, you know. Man, when I tell you, I probably scored 2 back points on him, and he'll probably argue that I never scored back points on him at practice. But shout out to Coach Vince, man. Great guy, great coach.
Man, that's awesome. So I don't know how much. I think you went through every question I was going to ask here in one answer, but we're doing pretty good. So this year for you guys, and you know, Coach Jones, Coach Thomas, whoever wants to chime in,
Okay.
how are you guys? You guys obviously have a common goal, and that's to make kids better, make wrestlers, make good humans, send kids to college, the military, the whole thing that's behind this thing. But your goal is also to win some wrestling matches and win some duels and get some kids to the state tournament. How are you guys going to do that together? What you have a common goal, but how are you guys going to use your strengths in the different areas to be able to move the needle? If that makes sense.
I'll go in if you don't mind.
Go ahead, Coach.
One of the things that I want to do is let Coach do a lot of the recruiting, and he's right. He's absolutely right about getting the youth, getting them started early. It's seldom that you see a guy that's a 1-year, 2-year wrestler go into state and have any and move the needle at all. So getting them started as early as possible is key. And then the other thing that we want to do is have and celebrate small victories. So when we have someone that does well, we want to pump it up. We want to let everyone know that if someone won the county, the district, or the region, or placed high, or even at state, we're going to make a big damn deal about it here in Auburndale, because we want to let the kids know that what we're building here. Yes, we're all in this to help the youth. We want to see the youth, and wrestling did that for me. I tell you, it gave me discipline. It gave me structure. I mean, it gave me things that I needed as I actually made me even a better man, a better Marine as I went into the service. So I think that wrestling can do that for a lot of the youth to start with. And it's paramount that we get them as early as possible and that we celebrate their successes and that we just get this thing back on the winning track the way that it was whenever, not just the way that it was, because we don't want our kids to be the way that it was. We want it to be better than it was. And so that's my goal. I'm sure that Coach echoes the same sentiment that I do, that we want to focus on the youth first and foremost, but we want to get them early and we want to celebrate with them when they do well.
Well, and I think some sort of stability. You guys are both alum of the program. Correct. So you both love the school. You both are passionate about the school. You've said that it's been a revolving door of coaches over the last decade or whatever.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
You know, there hasn't been stability there to say, hey, I want to grow up. You know, young kids in little towns are saying they want to grow up to wrestle for coach, whatever, at the high school level. You know, that coach, those coaches become big deals in their towns, right?
Right.
And as you guys had mentioned, that's not happening. So now to have 2 alums locked in and in the program and people know, hey, we're here for the long haul. This is our school too. That's got to make a difference, right?
Absolutely.
Chris Emmett.
You have to drag me out of the arena, out of the gyms, man. I got a son. He's 1 year old. So, you know, I plan on starting him as young as 3, you know. I want to piggyback off a little bit off of what Coach Jones said
Your 1-year-old is probably already 5'2", right?
Yeah, I don't know about that, but he's wrestling me already. Like every time he sees me, he go to growl and he go So we done started that thing, man. And plus, his cousins, when they come over to the house, he'll grab them. He have no problem, getting into a physical confrontation with them.
Getting
Just to
going.
piggyback off of what Coach Jones said, Coach Jones' specialty is the lighter man style. My specialty is the heavyweight style. I think with those two combined, we can tighten up some stuff. Like I say, when I was at Bartow, my whole lineup wrestled like heavyweights. So having Coach Jones and some of the other guys that we're gonna bring in and be around, back around the program, I think is definitely gonna help us mold this program into what it needs to be. Me and Coach Jones,
You being a football player from Auburndale is going to help because, from what I understand, if you have a football guy in your room, it's a lot easier to get football guys to come out. And
now you thinking, hey, check this out. Check this out. I'm also the defensive line coach for the varsity football team. So, shout out to Coach Sass. Man, shout out to my principal, Ty Bruno. Shout out to Pam Lancaster. Shout out everybody out. So
the whole D line is wrestling this year.
Oh yeah. Listen, so we have right now we have probably about 20 football guys. Throughout running backs, D linemen. And a lot of JV kids. We have about 20 kids from JV to varsity that's going to come out for the wrestling team this year. They didn't show up to the meeting today. I mean, on top of some of my students who realized I was a wrestling coach and said, "Hey, Coach Thomas, man, I want to come join your team." So really, man, I got about 50 names, and we had about 30 today. I actually had an interest meeting today right after school. We had about 30 plus kids come out. So I got a whole lot of names, and we're going to see if we can make a couple champs, out of some of these guys. But a lot of freshmen, I think this freshman class is going to be solid that we got coming up. And actually,
are you going to be at the Moskowitz if they have it again this year?
Say that again?
Are you going to be at the Moskowitz if they have it again this year?
At McKeel?
This year was the first year they called it the Moskowitz. It's right there by downtown Lakeland, that big school there.
Yeah, more than likely we'll be there. I gotta check my schedule.
Tony, you're listening. What's that big tournament in Lakeland, the Moskowitz? What it used to be called? He's listening. Love Antonio, solid human being, and outstanding Christian influence. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so listen. Also, before we go on, like I say, we have
George Jenkins.
Okay.
Yeah, we will. We're gonna be at a tournament at George. Let me check the schedule real quick. We'll be at George Jenkins on the 9th. So I don't know if that's the date. It'll be January 9th. We definitely be at a tournament at George Jenkins.
Nice. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, but like I was.
We should be there too. We usually go to it as long as everything's happening.
Okay. Hey, I believe it will happen. We won't let nothing stop the show. We're gonna conquer this virus. We're gonna, do the things that are necessary to make sure that, everybody is safe and, so we can have a great time. I don't think this virus will slow nothing down. Obviously it's been, kind of sad that the things that have transpired within the country, over the course of this virus. However, we will overcome. Now, like I said, like I was back to what I was saying, we have a lot of kids, man. We have a lot of kids, and I think this freshman class, for sure, is going to be probably some of the tougher guys to come through our program. We got some tough kids, and like I said, I'm excited about getting it going.
My man, Coach Jones. Every time I look down at him, I think I'm looking at Roy Jones.
Oh wow, really? Not quite. No.
Like,
Familiar face, I guess. But Roy Jones doesn't have this salt and pepper here. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. You may have some after he fights Mike Tyson.
You might have more.
He might have more than salt.
Mike Tyson. I wouldn't mess with Mike Tyson, but
He looks like he's as ready as he was when he was 22 years old.
I'm telling you, man, I wouldn't mess with Iron Mike. That's what we call
Iron
him.
Man.
He was on Joe Rogan today, and man, when he starts talking about fighting, he's like, his face gets into it. Then he's like, I just love it. I want to hurt somebody.
That's his mentality. But yeah, you know, I definitely no relation there. But as far as the fighter spirit is definitely still in me. This old man, I definitely want to see us as a unit, as a team, as a community get back to better than what we were in the glory days. And so I it's my first time being on a show like this, but I'm excited. I tell you, and Coach is absolutely right. When we first got word that he was going to be the head coach, it was introduced on social media platforms, a couple different social media platforms, and I chimed in. I said, hey man, you need anything, you let me know. And so he wanted to meet. We met up and we joined forces, and we said, you know what, let's get this thing on the right track. So no more.
Now, did you guys know each other prior?
It's funny. This is the kicker out of all of this. We're from the same neighborhood.
Yep.
I'm just 48 years old, and he is actually, he's a young pup, but he from what he tells me, I don't know, he knew about me. He had heard, you know, stories about me, and I ran all over Lake Alfred, Auburndale, Haines City. I ran cutting weight. I was a cutting weight fool, and I mean that. I wrestled the same weight class for 4 straight years. I could have stunted my growth, but after I got out of 130 pounds and went in the military, I put on some weight. But before that, I was a cutting weight fool, but I ran all over the place. So he's heard some stuff about me and through some people or whatnot. But it was funny when we met that he was actually from not just the same town, the same city. He's from my neighborhood.
Same neighborhood. Yep.
A street over.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get along just fine. We're gonna get along just fine. We both.
Crazy how life works, huh?
Yeah, we're family men. We both love and serve God. I mean, we're gonna be all right.
And then also I realized, Coach, a couple of his nephews, you know, are friends of mine who I grew up with out in our neighborhood, you know, and didn't realize, you know what I'm saying? So I realized that through a few posts I had seen. I was like, oh man, I didn't even realize that. But yeah, man, like I say, and honestly, to be honest with you, that is the area that I want to tap into. The neighborhood where I grew up in, a couple other neighborhoods. I want to get those kids because really I want to bring exposure back to Auburndale. I want to bring exposure back to Lake Alfred. Because like I say, it don't have any exposure. And these USA tournaments and these AAU tournaments, you know, me over the past 2 years, after I finished up at Bartow, I officiated. So I was able to realize and see what freestyle Greco-Roman was, because when I was in high school, I didn't do anything. I did football, wrestling, weightlifting, and track and field. So I was never kind of in position to go to those tournaments and stuff. And so, you know, I was able to, over the course of the last 2 years, I was able to officiate at those tournaments, man. And, you know, it brought me exposure. So I want to bring the kids, you know, from our neighborhoods that same exposure.
Yeah, it makes sense. Grow the neighborhood, grow the wrestling room. I like it. I love the energy. I like the partnership. I like it all, man. I can't wait to meet you guys, and I'm sure the neighborhood's going to be happy to have both of you running the program there. It'll be fun. You guys ready for the 10 questions?
Go ahead. Answer them, Coach.
You want me to answer?
Yeah, go ahead and answer them, Coach.
Smoking Jim's or Peebles?
People's Barbecue.
Coach?
I'm gonna have to go with Smoking Gems, only because Smoking Gems, they used to cater to like our sporting events, like whenever we have a banquet or something like that, and they were okay, you know, they were pretty good.
Neither one of them are going to be mad at you when they see this show because you chat them both down. You guys go steak fries or curly fries?
Steak fries.
I'm going curly all the way, Coach. You already know.
I already know that. Twice we've been out to eat, man, and he get some curly fries. Twice he's
Different
done
than
that.
the
He's
chicken
a
wing
curly
sauce.
fried guy. He's a curly fried guy. We've been
Oh,
out to eat a
man.
couple times, and that's his thing.
Are you guys going Dino's or SNL?
Dino's Diner, man. Come on.
Yeah, Dino's. I'm gonna have to go with Dino's too, man. Shout out to the milkshakes. You know them
He'll shout out anything.
them banana milkshakes, man. I gotta go. Man,
Coach,
gotta
you're
go
gonna
with
be the
Dino's.
one. You're gonna be the one teaching these kids to cut weight because homeboy ain't doing it.
Curly fries and milkshakes, yeah.
Yeah, he and the heavyweights are gonna be down at
Oh,
Dino's.
he better
Yes,
he better
sir.
make sure they, as long as they're strong and conditioned, they can eat what they want.
Oh yeah, that's it.
All right, man. Florida, Publix subs or Publix wings?
Public subs, man. Oh yeah, public subs.
Yeah, I like the subs too, especially the chicken. You know, you can get the chicken put on the sub now, like the boneless chicken, man. You know, you can hook them things up now. I like the yeah. I'm gonna go with the sub too.
I like it. The Pizza Connection or Sal's?
Connection. Shout out to Sal's though, cause he hooked me up last year. But Peace Connection, they longevity. You know, they've been around. They sponsored one of my little league teams when I was younger. So Peace Connection for sure.
Jones, you got one? Neither.
No.
What's your pizza place of choice?
Me personally,
Yep.
well, when I was actually growing up, like I said, I'm a lot older than him. There was a place around called Jay Burns. Jay Burns shut down. They used to cut their pizza in like little triangle, little rectangle shapes. And man, we loved that, man. And that was one of the things that drove us after the baseball game. It's like he'd tell us, hey, if you guys win, I'll take you to Jay Burns. So we would crank it up a notch, get our rally hats going. But anyways, Jay Burns is back. Jay Burns just opened up back over here. Shout out. Hey, I'm gonna do my first shout out. Can I plug?
Plug him in,
plug-
coach.
Plug the Jay Burns back on the block over here in Cypress Gardens, Winter Haven. I tell you, that's my favorite pizza. If I'm gonna have pizza, I definitely would say Jay Burns.
Yeah, when I was a kid growing up in South Florida, my grandma lived in Miami Gardens, but my aunt and uncles would drive us up to a place called Villa Rose in Hollywood, and they would cut it in the little squares also.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, man.
All right, you guys going hot or iced?
Hot.
Ice.
I should wear my glasses. Swan Brewing or Grove Roots?
Grove Roots.
I'm gonna go with the roots too.
I'm a whiskey
All right.
guy, but I tell you what, when I do have a beer or brew or whatever, I like the atmosphere. And it's inviting for the whole family, and even the kids can run around and play at Grove Roots. I've got younger kids that, you know, they like to get out and run around and play out there, and I can sit right there and enjoy a nice brewski and watch them.
I love it.
Yeah,
You
I don't
guys
drink
go-
beer. I don't drink beer, any of that stuff. But you know, I definitely drink fruit punch and all of that stuff. So everything else on the menu, baby.
Kool-Aid.
Everything.
Yeah.
Juice me
I
up.
have to be like, yo, you like the grape or the cherry? So, hey, when you guys are barbecuing, you like the dry rub or the marinade?
Dry rub.
Dry rubs.
Yeah. Dry rub.
Rubs.
Dairy Queen or Cold Stone?
Cold Stone.
Yeah, Cold Stone.
I'm a little bougie on my ice cream.
All right, you guys go baby backs or country style?
Baby back.
Babies. Yep.
Yeah, I've never had anybody tell me different unless they're from St. Louis and they tell me St. Louis. But
They're like the spare ribs over there, yeah.
yeah, those big pork ribs.
Mm-hmm.
Man, hey, this has been a pleasure meeting you guys. We can do this anytime you want. Just hit
Absolutely.
me, let me know. I'd be more than happy. And you know, like I tell everybody else, I'm hoping to get out on the other side of this. And I look forward to you guys. Going to be at the 32 qualifier.
No, so we won't get our wrestling stuff started until probably a little bit after that. We're gonna, I think, this off season, and I done expressed to our kids, because most of them coming back for the next couple of years, that we're gonna sit this one out and we're gonna get things figured out. Once this season and stuff get rolling, we'll get into it well. But so next year you can expect us at every tournament, you know, in the off season as much as we can, and you know that's the game plan.
Yeah, man. Hey, I wish you guys the absolute best. Shout out to Tony for putting us together. over there at Tenor.
For Tony, baby.
Yeah, he's a good dude. And thank you guys for supporting the show, for watching the show, and for coming on my show. And when I get down there, we're going to Jay Burns for some pizza.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Me and Coach might hit Jay Burns up tomorrow night. We might hit it up tomorrow night. See what
I do this all the time, right? I do the 10 questions at the end. And you know how many people around the country will send me a text like 3 hours later and be like, damn you. Look, I'm at the pizza joint now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Jay Burns is, hey, Coach, get at me about that Jay Burns.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's on you, too. You paying, so I'm coming. I can't beat that.
Come on, let's go eat.
All right, y'all. Peace.
All
Keep
right.
kicking
All right, later.
Thanks. Thank you, Dan. We'll talk.